kind of looks like underwear. Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Amanda and this is Birch and Lily, where I talk about all of the crafty stuff that I've been up to after the past couple weeks. It is August 2nd, somehow. How's it August? Yeah, I can't believe it's August. But I have lots to show you today, so that's exciting. I have a couple finished sweaters, some new casts-ons, more sweaters, a pair of socks. I actually knit some socks, which is insane. But yeah, I have lots to show you and I'm really excited to get into that. Before we start, a couple things. First, where you can find me on the internet, birchandlilyfiber.com is my main website. You can also find me on Instagram at birch.and.lily. As well, the sale is still going on in the shop. I did add a whole bunch of other skeins to it, so definitely check that out if you haven't already. But yeah, before we jump on in, please make sure that you hit that like button and you subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. It helps me out a lot. And let's jump on into the video. So it's the middle of summer and it's very warm, and I am not about to put on these two sweaters that I finished. I braved it yesterday to take photos because I needed finished object photos for both of these sweaters. So I braved it for that, but I was not about to brave it for a second day in a row with all my studio lights and stuff on my face. So I am going to insert some of the photos of these finished objects while I hold them up to show you as well. My first finished object is my Alley sweater, which is a pattern by Opie, and I'm testing it for her. I think the pattern is supposed to come out next month in September sometime, like beginning of September, but it's so beautiful. Last time I think I just had like the I had just looked for the sleeves, that's what I'm trying to say, and I was working along on the body. I have the whole thing finished now. It was such a fun pattern to knit. I loved working with the DK weight yarn. I think slowly DK is starting to become one of my favorite weights. I always will love fingering weight, but DK has been wonderful to work with. But I should stop rambling and just kind of hold this up for you. And like I said, I'll insert photos. Maybe I inserted them while I was yapping already. I don't know. But I'll insert photos at some point, like the finished object photos that I took. But here is my Alley's sweater. And I'm so incredibly happy with this. Oh my goodness. I loved it before I blocked it. But once I blocked it, so good. So good. This sweater, the construction of it is amazing. It fits probably the best out of any of the hand knit sweaters I've ever made for myself. Part of that reason being, and I think I've talked about this before, but I think I was knitting too small of a size of sweater before. I've done the measurements, I know what my measurements are, but I think I was just being a little too optimistic and knitting a size smaller than I needed. I don't know. But I knit this in the size 2 in the pattern. And I can't remember what the bust measurements are for that, but that'll be available obviously when the pattern releases. She might actually have that saved already on a highlight on her Instagram, because I think some people were asking like what yarn and measurements they could use or they would need for the pattern so you could pre-order yarn for it. So that might already a vague number. Obviously it's not the final number because all of us testers give information on fit, how much yarn we used, all that sort of stuff, so that the pattern is great for you guys. So I think it's not like perfect, but there is that information available if you're interested already. But yeah, it's just, oh my goodness. So the sleeves are amazing. The color on the hem is amazing. I'm gonna get closer in a sec and kind of show you some more details, but yeah, I knit the size 2 and it fits me perfectly and I'm so happy. Yarn. What did I use for yarn? Birch and Lily Fiber Co., my yarn company. The main color, the creamy sort of color, is called Linen, and the contrast color is part of my Hummingbird collection. This is based off of a green violet ear hummingbird, so that is what it's called. Because I'm not creative with names. Anyways, let me get closer and I'll show you kind of some other stuff. So the collar on this sweater is folded over. I don't think I've ever knit a sweater with a folded collar before, but it just makes it super squishy and fantastic. I'm going to say fantastic like 10,000 times, I swear. So folded collar, here's all the color work. And it is a raglan shaping. I find that fits me the best, so I appreciate that it's a raglan. And it looks really neat how it kind of creates that line in between all the color work on the sweater. I don't know. I thought that was a neat detail. So then the sleeves have the color work as well, and then you do the cuff on these sleeves in your contrast color with a little pop of the main color at the bottom of, or the end of them. And then here's the hem with the little pop of the contrast color at the bottom. It is a split hem, and something I thought was really cool and I've never done before. Look how neat that split looks. So there's something, and I'm not going to give it away because it's part of the pattern, but something that you do here to just make the neatest looking split hem. Actually, let me grab, this is the other sweater I'm going to show you, but just so you can see the difference in the split hems. Of course, I had finished this one before I finished my Allie sweater, otherwise I would have done it on this too. But you can kind of see how it looks a little messier, almost. It's still fine, it still looks nice. But something, I wish I could hold these both up at once, but this just looks so much neater. So, don't focus on me, focus on the sweater. Come on. Yeah, it just looks so much neater. So, yeah, overall, beautifully written pattern. I think one of the best written sweater patterns I have ever knit. There's tons of information available in it, and I'm sure there's going to be even more because, like I said, she wants to get information from all of us on how the fit is, what we like, what we don't like. So the pattern will have tons of resources for you, which is really cool, I think. But I'm super excited that I got to test it, and oh my gosh, look at the back. So that's the back. It's got that stripe here. This is where all the short rows were worked, where the front doesn't have that. I'm so happy. And I wish it was winter or fall so I could start wearing this, because I'm really tired of the heat. I don't know about you, but I'm really tired of the heat and I want to wear this. So that is my Allie sweater. And like I said, I finished another sweater. Now, I'm not saying, oh my goodness, I'm an amazing sweater knitter and I knit both of these in 2 weeks. I've been working on both of these for a while, and it just so happened that I finished both of them. But this is my home sweater V-neck. This is a pattern by Caidree. I am in love with Caidree's patterns lately. I don't know what it is about them, but they are wonderful. I'll go back a little bit more so you can see it. So another really cozy, squishy sweater, big, huge, long ribbed cuffs. I knit I think the size medium on this because I wanted it to be bigger and cozier. The only thing I think I would have done differently, and in the long run, I wouldn't have been able to do it with the yarn I had anyways, but I wish I had made the body a little bit longer. It's fine. You'll see in the photos that I'm popping up. It's not that it's bad. I just wish it was maybe a wee bit longer. But I almost ran out of yarn. So I had enough to finish. It was fine, but I was getting close. The other thing I have to say about this yarn is it picks up dog fur like crazy, which I've kind of come to live with because I have a corgi, but something else to keep in mind. So this is Berroco Mochi. I used the vanilla colorway. It's definitely a commercial yarn. I think I purchased mine from Jimmy Bean's wool, and I was able to do my whole sweater for under $100, which is pretty darn good for a hand knit sweater, if I do say so myself. Now, it's a little scratchy. I have really sensitive skin. It is what it is. I definitely am going to have to wear a shirt or something under this because I did find it a little itchy, but nothing like too bad at all. So let me get closer again with this one. Like I said, I knit the size medium, so it has this really cute V-neck collar. Like I said, the really long cuffs. And again, a split hem. So this one, the split hem is knit longer in the back, about an inch longer. So I think if I was to do it differently, I would just maybe even knit the back hem like 2 inches longer and leave the front one the way it is. I'm not sure. I definitely think I would knit this again. It was really fun. The construction was unique, but still easy. I didn't have a hard time following it. It was just very different than anything I've ever done before, and I had a fun time knitting it. I don't know, just the stockinette with the simple ribbing was really, really fun to do. The other thing that was fun, I bound literally everything off on this tubularly. Yep. I guess that's the way you'd say it. And actually I did with the alley sweater as well. The cuffs and the hem on the alley sweater are all done with a tubular bind off. And honestly, I love it. I love the way it looks. Hopefully you can kind of see how it looks like the knitting just doesn't end. Like almost like it wraps around the edge of the cuff. I don't know. I think it's cool. It takes a little bit longer, obviously, because it's a sewn bind off. It's almost like doing a Kitchener stitch, but flat. Not like with two needles. It's all on one needle. So it does take a little bit longer, but I wouldn't say it's particularly terribly long. Nothing that annoyed me. So yeah, I had a really good time knitting that as well. Like I said, I wish it was fall. I want to be able to wear those so badly. And I was melting by the end of taking all those photos yesterday, so there's no way, even with the air conditioning in my house, that I can wear those right now. No way. But yeah, that is all I have finished. A lot of work has gone into those. I wanted to have the alley sweater done in time. It's not due, I think, until the end of this month. But now I've been working on a couple different things. Another test knit that is due in a couple weeks, so I've been working pretty hard on that. And then some socks and some other things. So we might as well jump into my works in progress. So let's start socks. I haven't knit socks in so long. So long, in fact, that I'm looking around and I don't have sock blockers that fit my feet. I guess we'll go without. So I am knitting the Summer Picnic Socks, which is a pattern by this Handmade Life. She has beautiful, beautiful sock patterns. And I finished one already. So here is my one Summer Picnic sock. Isn't this cute? I started this actually on the drive to Canada for my sister's wedding and then didn't really pick it up after. And I was thinking I just want something simple to do. So I pulled this out and I finished it. I really didn't have much done on it when I had started on the drive. So I pulled it out and I think I finished this in a day. Now it is a shorty sock, so it really doesn't take that long to knit, but something about the color work just really made it fly. So I think to get myself back into sock knitting, I'm gonna knit some colorwork socks, some scrappy socks. I'm gonna use up scraps because this actually I used up scraps. I couldn't even tell you what yarn I used for these because these are all scraps. Some of them don't even have ball bands. This dark purple is from when I first started knitting and I didn't save any of my ball bands. Now I wind them up and stick them in the middle of all my cakes, but before this I did not save them. So I knit the smallest size for this, the 56 stitch sock. I think I used 2.25mm needles like usual. And my cuff on here is 8 rounds. I did a slip stitch, heel flap, and gusset. I believe that's what the pattern calls for, and then I did just a wedge toe, which the pattern also calls for. So I cast on the other one this morning while I was kind of getting ready to go, I guess, and writing up my show notes for this episode, all that. So all I have done is the cuff and the heel. But I thought this would be a really good way, because I've talked a couple times about how I convert like literally any pattern into a shorty sock, and this is how I do it. I just knit the cuff as deep as I want it to be. I hope that's focusing. Yeah. And then go straight into the heel flap. And now I have a shorty sock, and then I'm just going to do like my normal gusset decreases like I would have if it was a longer sock. Do everything exactly the same as if it was a longer sock, but you kind of just skip doing the whole leg. So yeah, I have that cast on and I'm working away on it. I knit all my socks magic loop. I don't know if I've said that in a while, but I can't stand DPNs. They go flying. I can't handle them. So yeah, really liking those. Definitely either considering casting on another pair because it uses up 3 colors in it because of the gingham plaid sort of pattern. So either I'm going to cast on another pair of those or find something else color work. I do have the bits and bobs socks that I haven't pulled out in a while. So maybe I'll pull those out too. Those are pretty fun. But yeah, I'm feeling the socks again, so that's good. This bag is old as the hills, like from when Larkspur Handmade was called Lost and Fond, and she was making project bags. So there's no way you're gonna find this, but that's what that's in. New cast on garment, but smaller because it's just a tank. I've never knit a tank before, but I saw the Remi Camisole by Caidree and I was really fascinated by it. It's not in this bag. Yeah, I was really fascinated by it, and so I cast it on, and it's going very quickly, which you'd think I would expect because it's a camisole. But this is what I have. This looks like nothing. But basically, I cast on this front triangle, so this is like, let's try to put it on. That goes like that. And it looks like nothing because it's gonna grow because this is all ribbed. It's all kind of smushed up right now. But so that's the front, and then this is, you attach it and knit the back, and that's what I have so far. Kind of looks like underwear. Anyways, so I'm knitting the size 2 for this. The pattern does recommend some negative ease in this just because it is so stretchy with all of the ribbing. Like you can even just see when I pull that apart, it's going to block out quite a bit. And I'm using my yarn for this again. This is Birchandlily Fiber Co. in the colorway Succulent. I think there is one skein of this left in the shop, and it is one of the sale skeins. So if you're wanting to knit some socks out of this, I think if you're, I don't have my pattern notes with me here. I'm almost thinking I really only needed one skein to make this when I'm looking at how much I used for this. I did pull 2 for myself, but you might be able to make you a Remi camisole out of one of these if you're interested. And like I said, it's 25% off in the shop. So shameless plug. So yeah, I'm knitting that. Not tons has happened. That's on the Birch sock base, by the way. It's an 80/20. And then the other thing I've been working on is a test knit for Caitlin Hunter, which is so crazy to me. Never did I think I would be testing for someone like Caitlin Hunter. She actually, my very, very first sweater was a Caitlin Hunter pattern, which is crazy. Anyways, this is one of my favorite bags. This is from Brooklyn Haberdashery. And I am test knitting the Briar and Bramble sweater pattern. Got my swatch. I swatched like a good girl. Now I can't show you, she's asked that I don't like show you the full construction of it or anything. So I don't know what, I'll figure this out as I go. We'll do this on the fly. I'm knitting this out of Walnut, which is a Birchandlily Fiber Co color. That's actually showing up half decently. This is on the Birch DK base again. Yeah, that's actually not that bad. Last time it was blowing out like crazy, so I'll take it. And I have a decent amount done. You know what, maybe I'll just fold this up because I don't want to give away construction or anything because she has asked I don't. But, and now it's blowing out. That's so weird how the cake was fine, but now this is blowing out. So it's a really pretty textured pattern. It's a raglan sweater. If you look on her Instagram, you can see a picture of it. Maybe I'll even pop one of her Instagram photos in here so you can see. But I don't want to give away the construction because I'm in the middle of knitting it. And she has requested that, and I will abide by that. Both those work. Anyway, so yeah, I've been knitting quite a bit. I'm about 4 inches from being done the body. So, yeah. Going swimmingly. I've been working on it for like maybe an hour every night, and then if I feel like keeping working on it, I will, and if I don't, I switch. This is the cutest little set of needle stoppers, or point protectors. I've heard them called all sorts of different things, but this is from Perfectly Knotted, and yeah, I just thought they were super cute, and her prices are very, very reasonable, so I ordered a couple pairs from her. Mostly because I am absolutely terrible at just like stopping knitting and whipping it on the couch, And my dog is usually very good, but every once in a while she'll grab my knitting, and so if I can put those on there, then I don't have to worry about her running off with my knitting and I have my needles pulled out, and I'm very sad. So that is, yeah, I can't talk much about that, but that is where I am with my Briar and Bramble. So yeah, I thought this would be much longer, but there's some stuff I've decided I really don't need to talk about anymore, namely needle sizes, stuff like that, mostly because I know for myself, and I think this is part of the reason why a lot of my older sweaters didn't fit the way I wanted them to either. I would pay attention to the needle sizes that someone else was using, and I'd be like, oh yeah, that's all I need to use, and then I wouldn't gauge swatch and it wouldn't fit. And now that I've been gauge swatching, I've realized for myself, usually when I'm knitting a pattern, I have to drop like a whole millimeter in needle size to get gauge. So I've decided to stop saying that just because I don't want to trip people up the way I was when I started knitting. But of course I'll tell you size, fit, all that stuff. Like I said, inserting photos of the finished sweaters because it's too warm out. But yeah, I've been having fun knitting. As you've noticed, I haven't pulled out any cross stitch. I don't know why, to be honest. I guess the sweaters have been really fun and the test knits have been taking up a decent amount of my time because there's a deadline, but I just haven't felt like cross stitching, and that's fine. Yeah. But I'm getting excited to I have plans for finishing kind of organizing this craft room, because as I accumulate more things, as my yarn business gets bigger, I'm looking up at the wall behind me of all of my in-stock yarn, but as that gets bigger, it takes up more space in this room, and it's not a big room. Like, I would say it's maybe maybe 10 by 10. That could be exaggerating it a little bit. It's a small room. I think it's meant to be like a home office, but I took it over as the craft room. The deal was, when we bought this house, my husband and I made a deal, because he loves working on cars, that he could have the garage, I would park outside, whatever, but I wanted a craft room. So that's how it worked out. His office is ever roaming, but I have a craft room. So, but there's just certain things in here that need some organizing, and I kind of have it figured out. So I'm excited to finally get that finished soon-ish. And then my plan is to hopefully film a craft room tour again, because it's changed in here a lot since the last one I filmed, which may have been almost 2 years ago now. Yeah. Anyways, I won't keep rambling on. Thank you so much for joining me. I really, really appreciate it. If you have any questions, you can ask me down below in the comments. I'd love to help you out. But please do make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you again in 2 weeks. Bye!